You might do a combination of these things, and it might really get you over that hurdle so that you start seeing gains again. Hey guys, I'm Mark McKillier with Live Anabolic. Today, I want to give you 5 things to try if you've hit a plateau. And this is invariably going to happen to absolutely all of us, all right? Matter of fact, it happens to the guys who've been working out longer, far more often than the beginners out there. So it's kind of, if you're a beginner and you haven't been working out long, or you're just starting, man, you guys are in an enviable position. You can see constant progress for a year or two, all right, before you're going to hit a plateau. For guys like myself who've been working out for 30 or 40 years, man, it gets frustrating, you know. So I got 5 things I want you guys to try. Some of y'all probably have heard of these or have tried them yourself, but I think I'll throw at least a couple of new ones in there that you've never heard of or tried before. And it's always good to give it a shot, all right? They don't necessarily work for everybody in every instance, but you might do a combination of these things, and it might really get you over that hurdle so that you start seeing gains again. All right, tip number 1 is you got to change up your workout routine. And that could be all kinds of different things. It could be the number of days that you work out every week. It could be the actual exercises themselves. It could be the intensity of your workouts. Maybe you need to go heavier weight with fewer reps, or the other way around. Maybe you need to use lighter weights with more reps. Maybe you need to dial up the intensity, all right? Or maybe you just need to create a completely different workout program altogether. You gotta change it up. All right, so tip number 2 is you gotta adjust your nutrition. And I'm not just talking about generically really clean it up. I'm talking about the timing of when you're eating your protein, especially centered around your workout. So a good example is I got a new client, a new platinum client that I'm training one-on-one over the internet. And he really had his protein dialed in and his nutrition. I mean, he was getting enough protein and really was eating clean, but he was working out early in the morning, totally fasted. So he had no carbs and no protein in his system at all. So anyway, he had hit a plateau, and I immediately told him, you've got to get in a protein shake before you hit the gym early in the morning. So he's going to start feeding his body with some really good source of protein and some good carbohydrates before he hits the weights, all right? And that is a real simple thing you can do to change things up. And you know, you can still do the same workout. In this case, you're just radically changing the nutrients going into your body before the workout itself. All right, tip number 3, guys, is rest. Give yourself more recovery days, all right? Same new platinum client, all right? The guy I was just talking about, he was working out 6 days a week, all right? And he had plateaued, all right? Well, I changed that up. He's now working out 4 days a week, and he gets 3 rest days. Now, he can still do, you know, light cardio on those rest days. I don't want him killing himself, but you really need plenty of rest. And a lot of times this affects the kind of the gung-ho guys that are kind of really getting into it. They're fairly early in their workout life, so to speak. And so, you know, you're just chomping at the bit. You just, you know, the more, you know, you figure if some is good, then more is better. Well, it doesn't always work that way, especially for us older guys, all right? So once you start, you know, getting above 50 or even above about 40, actually, guys, it just takes longer for your muscles to repair and recover, and you gotta give yourself plenty of rest days. And on top of rest days themselves, you got to be very careful about the spacing of your workouts. You don't want to hit the same muscle group too close together, all right? So let's say you give yourself a day or 2 days of rest. You don't even hit the gym at all, but you do the same muscle group on either side of these 2 rest days. Well, you know, that means that muscle group is only getting 3 days of rest, and if you hit it really hard, that's probably not enough rest for that muscle to fully recover. So It's not just the rest days themselves, it's the timing and frequency for how often you hit each muscle group. All right, so tip number 4, guys, is try a supplement. Especially if you've already dialed in your nutrition and you know you're really eating healthy, you still might not be getting all the micronutrients and minerals that your body needs. We have a bunch of supplements to choose from. I would recommend pair up a couple of our supplements, try them together. All right, we have some that are designed primarily to boost your body's natural production of testosterone. I would say Anabolic Reload is probably the number 1 supplement that we have that does that. And then pair it with a different supplement like Testagreens, which is a greens powder, and it has over 30 vegetables and fruits in there. But it's also designed primarily to kind of manage your body's production of estrogen, all right? So you start producing a lot of testosterone, your body sometimes will respond by increasing estrogen production. Of course, you may have high estrogen because of other things going on in your life. Maybe some of the foods you're eating or stress or something like that. But we want to keep the estrogen as low as possible. So putting those two together and trying them for 2 or 3 months, that may be all you need to change to get over, the hump and break through the plateau that you're in right now. Yeah, the tip number 5 is the most fun, but the hardest to pull off. And that is find yourself a workout buddy. Golly, my workouts are so much better when I'm working out with someone. And I told you it's hard. So normally I can't do that. Normally I'm by myself. But I've had periods in my life where I've met a good friend, typically a much younger person, 20, 30 years younger than me. And for some reason, our schedules were the same. Typically, I met him at a gym. We became friends, and we would work out together, sometimes for months and months at a time, maybe even longer than that before, he moved away or I moved away or something happened and our schedules, fell out of sync. But having somebody to work out with is a huge motivator. Man, you will be amazed. I mean, the very first time you work out with a buddy, you'll be pushing more weight for more reps, and you'll be more sore after your workouts, which is a good thing. Fantastic way to get past that plateau, but like I said, it's gonna be the most difficult to pull off. So there you go, 5 tips to break through a plateau that every single one of us experiences, not just once or twice, but on a regular basis. We're always gonna be hitting these plateaus. A lot of you guys probably knew some of these things already or have already tried them, but maybe I threw 1 or 2 new ideas in there that you haven't tried before, and screw it, give it a shot. It definitely isn't gonna hurt. But the main thing is you gotta stick with it and never give up on yourself.